Ready? Ready? All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Has this meeting been verified that the meeting notice and adoption of the agenda? So, has this meeting been properly noticed? You say yes, right? Okay. And now we'll move to pledge to the flag. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome everyone. We'll start with number 3, comments from the audience regarding items for future consideration. Comments or questions from the audience on the agenda items below. We are taking comments. Persons addressing the board are asked to state your name and address for the record, and your comments are limited to only one time and 5 minutes. So would anyone like to address the board? If so, come on up to the microphone.
Need a podium. Feel naked. So, thank you, John Cohn, 5351 Robin Wood Court in Hales Corners. I'm the father of 2 daughters that attend Edgerton Elementary. Last week, prior to attending the Finance Committee of the Whitnall School Board, I had prepared some comments on the safety needs of the Edgerton Elementary parking lot. Immediately, and for a couple days after that meeting, I intended on still using those prepared comments tonight to address the entire school board. However, since that meeting, there has been action and what appears to be an exploratory effort to enhance the safety of the Edgerton Elementary parking lot. This is encouraging, and we applaud these initial efforts and expeditious efforts in contracting with a traffic engineering firm. Furthermore, we understand that the district faces many initiatives, but none is more important than the safety of our children. We further understand that safety will not be improved with one single solution. This will take a combination of elements, including a traffic study, evaluation of those studies, adjusting schedules, evaluating those plans, engineering, education, changing behaviors, and enforcement. While these initial efforts are encouraging, we will not let this issue and the safety of our children and all that use Edgerton Elementary parking lot lose its momentum on making our parking lot safer. Thank you for the noticeable efforts thus far, and we look forward and offer to work with the school board and administration to achieve a safer parking area for Edgerton Elementary and our students. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anyone else care to address the board? Anyone else care to address the board? Seeing none, okay. We'll move to number 4, reports. Whitnall Block Party. And we have some representation here. Mike, teacher, okay.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. So I think all of you know who I am here. Mike Siebert, teacher 6th grade teacher at the middle school. I brought a couple members of my block party committee with me tonight. Cheryl Baker, who has been my co-chair for the past couple of years. Tom Piacentine, who's also been on our committee. And of course, Quinn has helped us out as well. And so this was requested by the school board to be on a future agenda item, just to kind of explain what it is, what our mission statement is, the operations of it, and having a discussion continuing forward with having this as a district-sponsored event. So, I know it looks a little bright there, but we actually came up with a mission statement. And so there it is. How many of you have actually attended the block party? So just about all of you. So see if this is an accurate representation of it. It's a fun, free, and welcoming community-wide event. The Whitnall Block Party brings families, faculty, staff, and community members together to showcase the school district's talented students and teachers, to celebrate successes, and to promote a network of business, civic, and school organizations. How does that sound to you? For those that have attended the block party, did you see that would be an accurate representation?
Very much so.
Okay. So other questions that comes up, who organizes the block party? It's basically a volunteer committee consisting of staff volunteers. Pretty much it's my summer vacation. And parents and other community members who plan and organize the behind the scenes of the event. On the day of the event itself, we do ask for parent and student volunteers to help with various things like setup, helping run the carnival games, the prize table, and of course the tear down at the end. So the block party has been going on for 4 years now. It began in 2010 as a 50th anniversary celebration for the Whitnall School District. Since then, it has been an annual event in September. Any surplus money from the event has benefited the fine arts programs in the district. In the past, we've always approached Dr. Holtz, and he's given us the okay to Cheryl and I, or when Quinn was my co-chair, to continue to move the event forward every year and to coordinate it. One thing to keep in mind is that surplus funds do not roll over from year to year. So some of the things that we have at the block party, obviously a lot of you have attended in the past, but that's just a summary of things. The carnival games and the inflatables, the food vendors, the prize table. We've had student rock bands and staff bands as well. We've had fine arts department performances, clubs and athletic groups having a showcase to show off what they're about. We've had some district initiatives showcased there, such as the new athletic field. We had a display tent there for that. And also this past fall, we had, with the one-to-one iPad program at the middle school, we had a table out there for that. We involve our community groups. I know Fire Chief here for Greenfield is here tonight. Don't mean to point you out, but he's a great guy. His department participates every year with us, as well as we get Hales Corners, police and fire involved. And we have other attractions such as a rock climbing wall and laser tag. Now this event is not possible without some support from some business sponsors. We do get a lot of businesses within the community and the surrounding area to help with this event. Sponsorships are needed to cover the cost of the event. Any money brought in on the day of the event also helps cover costs. Those would be things like the prize table that we have out, the tickets that we sell. All the cash sponsorships from the businesses, they send their checks right to district office. And once again, any surplus funds have been dedicated in the past to the fine arts programs. Okay? Again, with the sponsors, we have 3 different sponsorship levels. We have the top one is $1,000, where we include the business name with the name of the event. We also have another level where we allow the businesses to come out and set up their own space at the event and be a part of it. We also get a lot of in-kind donations for the prize drawing. And I know the golf outing that the high school runs has been around the same time of the year. And so last year we kind of decided, okay, well, how can we do this so that we're not duplicating and both groups are hitting up the same businesses. All right, so we do have plenty of food at the event. We have some local food vendors that have come and participated at our event. They have donated 25% of their profits back to the event. Noodles and Company here in Hales Corners, they have participated just about every year, and they have donated everything that they have brought in. We also have some student organizations at the high school that have asked to have a booth because they want to be able to raise funds for whatever club they have, or if they're a certain class. So like we'll have like the senior class will sponsor a booth. And so over the past 4 years, I mean, this has been our partnership network. I basically divided it into 3 categories. We have basically Whitnall school groups that participate, everything from high school student organizations, athletic teams. We've even had a PTO who's given money to our event most of the years. And And other organizations have gotten in there too. Community groups, and I know it's hard to see, but again, basically we've had the police and fire departments from both Greenfield and Hales Corners. We've had other organizations like the Whitnall Rotary Club, the Hales Corners Chamber of Commerce, the Friends of the Pool, the Burner Botanical Gardens, and we've had forward-thinking communities out there this past fall. And then the list on the right are basically some of our business sponsors from the past 4 years. Many of those have sponsored more than 1 year, or a few of them have sponsored all 4 years so far. And of course, student groups taking advantage of the block party like to help promote their group, fundraise, and of course they are responsible for managing and staffing their booth. We've learned some things along the way as this goes from year to year, so we always like to make sure that we have all our T's crossed and our I's dotted, and we also take into consideration the health and safety of everyone who attends our event. The event is covered under the district's liability insurance. Any outside vendors, any food vendors, the rock climbing wall, the laser tag, we do now require that they provide a copy of their certificate of insurance with the school district as an additional insured. And then plus we also get other required licenses. So like I always apply for the carnival license and our own food and beverage license from the city of Greenfield and the health department. As far as how money is managed, on the day of the event, money is collected from the booths and the prize tables, and we actually have a time schedule for it. Mike Mackey, who's on our committee, he wasn't able to come tonight, but him and I believe Tom, we always travel in pairs, all right, so it's not just one person collecting the money. We go on a time schedule, so like I think what was it, like every 2 hours last year? So like 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, we would go visit all the booths and we would keep track on a spreadsheet with that. And then of course the money gets counted up by more than one person at the end of the night too. And then that all gets turned into district office. So over the 4 years of the event, we've had approximately $15,000 in surplus funds. And these are just some of the uses for that money. We've had everything from like a new sound mixer for the high school music department, cello racks for orchestra, document cameras for elementary art, new keyboard for the music teacher at each CE for her classes, and of course helping with the sound booth in the high school auditorium. So bottom line is it's new groups, new opportunities. It is probably one of the few, maybe the only event our district has where we could get all 4 schools together in one location to network. And of course, bottom line, it all provides positive public relations. So the discussion we need to have with the board is moving forward. If we'd like to have it continued as a district-sponsored event, we already have a date in mind. Usually, historically, it's been on the second Saturday of September. And if anyone has any questions, we will be able to answer them.
Just under 10 minutes, good job.
I tried.
Okay, now, questions. I just want to clarify, what we need to double check, it sounded like everyone agreed with the mission. If not, let us know. Now, moving forward, the question will be, how does it move forward? And we would hope to be clearer about that tonight. How does it move forward? So, okay, John.
Hi, Mike. Are there established guidelines for having a booth?
As far as for like
Like it needs to be an organized club, or how the funds are used, or anything like that? Just any kind of established guidelines for.
basically, if it's a student group
Okay.
that asks to be a part of it, we basically tell them that if they're fundraising for their own group, there is a district procedure for them that they have to fill out a fundraising form for.
Okay.
And then basically we tell them that you're in charge of your own booth, you're in charge of providing, like if they're selling food, they have to provide all those materials, and they have to staff it. And really, it's a good experience for the kids because
So is there some sort of contract or something like that, in a sense, that they?
we haven't used one.
Yeah, I didn't mean necessarily legally binding, but,
Mhm.
but you know, some sort of a guideline packet that you give them or something like that.
I know we do give them the guidelines from the Greenfield Health Department.
Okay.
Especially if they have food, like they have to have like certain hand washing materials available, having gloves available. We do give them that to follow.
And one more thing, if I can ask, why is there not a percentage of the funds, no matter how small, rolled over to the next year just to seed the project to get going the next year? Or is it not needed, or?
Well, it's just something we've done in the past, but obviously we can always change that going forward.
Not asking anybody to make any changes. I was just curious.
It's just something that we can, help support a certain program.
Sure.
We just always zeroed it out, and it's really, and I've been on the committee for all 4 years, and it's
Right.
really made us go out and get those sponsorships, because we don't borrow any money from this, have we taken any money up front from this district?
I don't think so.
We've been very fortunate to get sponsors
Right.
and stay small until we get money come in, and it's really, and fundraising is not the most pleasant thing to do.
No, it's not easy either.
And we have very loyal sponsors. Mike had a list up there, we have many that have been with us all 4 years. So a lot of times it's a phone call, it's an email, it's a letter, and they respond very kindly. So we didn't know if it was gonna make it to the second year, so we didn't ask for any funds, and we've just kept it that way since.
One of the things, John, too, is it also helps get that business-school partnership going.
It's great. No, I think it's a great program. I think you guys do a wonderful job with it.
Other questions?
So what expense is there to the district? I mean, we have custodial services, right, they're
Mhm.
available. Any other expense to the district?
Not that I can think of. A lot of the expenses that were provided in your board packet is basically coming out of the sponsorship funds. I mean, really, there's no seed money from the district that we're using either.
So it would just be,
It
we
would
pay,
just
because we
mainly be
pay
the
our
custodial
custodians,
Yep.
right, for that.
Expenses.
Garbage bags, they take care of the garbage for us, disposal of the garbage. They let us use the gator, so there is some fuel involved with that.
Set up tables and take them down and,
Yeah, and we have volunteers. I mean, many of us have been here at 8 in the morning on Sunday or Saturday and left at,
9 at night.
yeah. And I'll tell you that we've had spectacular volunteers. I mean, I don't know who that family was the first year, but they about cleaned up the whole field. And when many of us were dragging, it was just wonderful. I mean, this family came out of nowhere and they cleaned the place up, and it was just spectacular. And our PTOs, Mike and Cheryl work with both of our PTOs. They have helped us generate volunteers. You know, we only have basically 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to get our volunteers because school's starting, and it always
Usually we try to
comes
get the
through.
ball rolling in May right away, just to get some of those early things out, because with summer vacation getting in the way, that's one thing we like to get out before the end of the school year is, okay, here's the date, and we're looking for volunteers. So we get that first initial push out there for that.
Other questions?
I'm looking at the growth of it because I helped out that first year and had a great time. I've seen areas of growth. I've seen more sponsorships come. I've seen more relationships come. I've seen the student volunteer component grow over the years because I know the middle schoolers have been helping out and other student volunteers have come, so that's good. So I've seen that, but what's next?
Oh, that's a big question mark.
Our biggest growth and our biggest regret is we can't, and thank God they're here, this is a good segue, is getting our high school kids involved.
Yeah.
Caitlin, is she here? She tried, she was on our committee last year, and she tried, God bless her soul, she tried, and we can't find that event, that draw to get we got plenty of middle schoolers and plenty of elementary kids. That's one thing that we really struggle with, is getting something there to get the high schoolers involved.
And usually with the high schoolers, they've been more on the operating end of things, like running a booth. You know, we got a lot of the high school student organizations that will, sell popcorn, cotton candy, the sodas and all that, but we would like to, and this event has grown every year since
Yeah.
we've started, and we're always looking for new ideas, new volunteers, new people on our committee, and yeah, we're really trying to see if we can get some type of activity for the high schoolers there as well. So a lot of the things that we have there are geared more for like the elementary through middle school, but I mean, thank God for the high schoolers for at least being on the volunteering.
Yeah. And a lot of them,
running those booths. And Mitchell and his band playing, and so we see a lot of them performing.
Just like thinking real quick, that like I've been to the block party and everything, and like I see, we use majority of the field and stuff, but like to get the high schoolers more involved, maybe you could have like a kickball tournament, because you really don't use that side of the field. And like I know, we've had like ping pong tournaments throughout the high school, we've had volleyball. Like if you get a team and stuff, it really wouldn't be that hard, and then you'll have people who are playing in it and watching it. And it shouldn't really get too mixed up with the other stuff, since it's on the other side of the field. It's still blocked off.
And I'm gonna say that's great, and also to add to that, and I know you guys like to tweet a lot, it's also getting the word out too, that hey, this is going on, come over, this is when this is happening, just spreading the word, helping us advertise it.
Okay, Jonathan?
That would be a huge.
Is there a way you could do something where it'd be club-based, team-based, sport-based, where if they build teams, like she just said, build teams from the different clubs, different teams, go together and play that way? It builds some kind of bonding between the team members, club members. I don't know what you have, if you have some kind of award or something, just, maybe they get a...
bragging rights.
Exactly, whatever it is, but something to build it so that then you don't have to worry about kids, well, I don't have a team, if you have your club, you bring your club. Or we've talked before about getting ways to clubs through the high school with the business groups and everything, getting them involved with the planning, if there's ways that they can help with the planning, vision for the forward, put together a project, work through that. Maybe a great way to get them engaged and thinking outside the box.
And I know this has been on people's minds already, because I already have a couple groups at the high school that are bugging me saying, when's the block party gonna be, because we wanna be involved again, so.
One other thing that we see a lot of is the kids performing, bands. We had the play, Mr. Help me out.
Mr. Weisgerber.
Mr. W there, he had a preview for us. It was great. And the talent that we have, and these kids have a lot of talent. We have a whole stage that is nothing but our students and our teachers. They have a band. That's a big draw. And so it's a wonderful showcase of all the talented students and teachers that we have in this district as well.
Pick on Edgerton, but Barb McDonald, their music teacher, is one of the people contacting me. They want to do an encore performance of their Foley concert that they just had.
I think the board should do a performance next year.
Hey,
We're
we'll
very
take.
talented.
We had Dr. Holtz, what was it? You want to be a millionaire?
Okay, I think I'm hearing that there's a lot of support for the block party, correct? And we now have a mission statement that makes it much clearer. Maybe we could make that a part of the record so that in the minutes it's been approved by the board, or do we need to bring it back for a vote?
Do we approve their mission statement? I don't see why we would.
No, we don't really
need to.
approve it.
Everything is,
If,
but it's real clear then where
what I would maybe,
it goes.
it's a slam dunk, but it's not scheduled for approval, but to maybe make it more formal, we've never made it formal, and so there's always been a question about it. If you want to settle the issue until the board overturns their own past decisions, what you could do is schedule it for approval for our first meeting under old business, our first meeting in June, and then it's finalized, so that Mike doesn't have to come back and do another 10 minutes. And other than that, everybody put it on your calendar for September 13th. We also had talked about, and that'll give you more time to discuss it, if there's any way, and maybe there's a combination of carrying it over, because I can see why you need money, seed money to get it started. But some of the concern from the chamber meetings that I've gone to were, they were a little bit cautious about it every year just because of the fundraising part. It's a great community event, so if we could somehow address that fundraising concern and still have it, I think that's the way to go.
Or
How
would the
it's-
district be willing to provide some funding?
And then it comes back, after, so we could, you invite me to one of your meetings, and we could figure out something that, before the board actually finalizes the vote on it. It's not yes, I wouldn't see it as a yes or no vote, because the board obviously seems like they support it, but you could provide some more of that detail so that, it's an easier solution. It's just a thought.
And then also deciding where surplus funds should go, or if we want to roll it over year to year
Exactly.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments before we move on? Seeing none, thank you. Who else is here that's volunteered or been a part of the block party? Who else is here? Thank you all very much. When I moved to this community not that long ago, there's block party signs all over. It just really was a welcoming way to come into this community too. I just want to add that. But thank you all very much. And thank you for all the extra time that the parents and the faculty put in to make this happen. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
we'll move it forward, and thanks again. Okay, next, the 2014, you all received a copy of Report B, 2014-15 School Board Meeting Dates. I don't think there's a need to vote on that. We just put those on your calendar. Does anyone have a concern or question?
Actually, yes. Historically, in December, there's been one meeting.
Right, I see that we've got two
And
scheduled.
we've got one scheduled for December 22nd,
Right.
so I would suggest that that's removed.
Okay. You want to remove that one? Okay, that sounds good. So we'll remove that and then put the rest of the dates on your calendar. Okay.
And
Next.
I would change all the 14s and starting next January to 15s.
Yeah,
That'd be good too.
yeah, that's a good idea. We'll get it right. Okay, next up, item C, committee reports. I think we've had one committee meeting.
Finance Committee. Actually, a good portion of my work has already been done, so thank you, Edgerton PTO, for that one. So we did discuss the Edgerton parking lot and some of the safety issues and the things that need to be done. As you've already heard, that's already rolling along. I expect to have follow-up on the traffic report, the walkthrough from the insurance agency with Matt, that tour that took place, and hopefully some numbers attached to some of these things. I'm hoping to see that on the June 2nd Finance Committee meeting. That should be an agenda item so that we have follow-up with that. We also discussed our capital projects. Dr. Holtz, those binders are the extra binders for the meeting for the board members are where?
Matt was out today, so I don't know where he has them.
For those of you that weren't at the meeting, we now have a binder of capital projects that includes plans if need be, a description of the need, and some of the finances attached to it to help us start that discussion about the capital projects. If you don't have your binder, please see Dr. Holtz or Kathy to find out where they are so that you have time to digest that to help the conversation. We also discussed the timeline for the budget process, which is included in the board packet this evening. And we also had preliminary suggestions for a budget format for presentation to the board, which Doug will present in another item or two. And that was in broad strokes what we covered, and we hope to see everyone June 2nd.
June 2nd, thank you very much.
I have a
Any
question.
other-
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you don't get these reports for the reconfiguration or traffic flow at Edgerton Elementary, would you be willing to move it back to accommodate if the reports are going to be within a week or so?
Move the meeting back?
Yeah.
Well, we're actually going to have other things on the agenda that night, so probably not. I wouldn't necessarily move the meeting back, but I'm pretty sure that Dr. Holtz, where are we on some of those reports for Edgerton? Are they ready to go for June 2nd, that we'll have some discussion?
On the traffic study,
Yeah.
they were there today and this morning and this afternoon. So we should have something, at least some rough stuff from them.
And the walkthrough with the insurance company?
I would have to ask Matt, but that he went through. Was that last week, Friday, Thursday?
Yeah,
Something like
Thursday
that.
or Friday. It was pretty soon after the meeting that occurred. That was pretty
Yeah,
immediate.
it was like within a day or two.
Any other suggestions that Mr. D'Acquisto might have for staffing to help control
Yep,
things?
and Chris and I met today, actually, to talk about some of the other, most of them are ones you wouldn't want to start now in the last
Right.
4 or 5 weeks, but starting for next year, there'll be things that we can do to mitigate that a little bit, because one of the things we added, obviously, was that K4, a whole section of K4 that hadn't been there before, and we don't provide transportation for them, so that's 20 cars right there. So,
So based on what Dr. Holtz has just said, I'm pretty confident that we're going to have information to look over and discuss and think about that night.
good.
So,
Thank you. Any other committees? There weren't any, right? We're good. Okay, next up, item D, WASB Spring Academy. Several of us board members attended the training. This is the school for school boards. So we went to that, and I thought it would be good to give a little update about what we learned. So Eileen's not here. Jonathan, do you want to?
Sure. For us that are new to the board, and I guess I'm speaking for John too, for me it was a great opportunity to network, see what resources are available to you. You can obviously read a lot online, there's a lot to learn, you get manuals, but to actually have a conversation with people, to listen to presentations, people that have done it for a long time, subject matter experts in it, and that are passionate about it just like we are, about our kids and about the district, and about the future of education in Wisconsin. It's great to hear the ideas and to get a broad overview from a state level of what they're seeing coming down the pipeline legislatively, policies, procedures, the financial components. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it was great to really dig in, learn the nitty-gritty about it, and then have stuff to read from after that to keep growing. So it was a great opportunity. Meet other people, network, see what's worked for them, find out what hasn't, build those connections so you can learn from them as we're encountering things in the district, to reach out to them and see what they've been through.
John?
I concur. I mean, it was a good experience.
Okay.
Learned some stuff.
Okay.
Made some connections with other
Right.
district board members and folks, so
Okay.
it's good, thanks.
I'll just add that we also reviewed, there was a session on school board policy. It's always helpful to understand how important policy making is and the role that plays in our ability to provide direction to the district. They did an interesting look at what they call the governance spectrum, which I think we can spend more time talking about in our workshop coming up, about how do we want to govern, what kind of there's different models out there, but I'm not crazy about that. I like the way we function. I think if we just get better at what we do with setting policies and improving some of our practices, will be good. But I really liked the brain theory. There was a session there on technology and how it's actually impacting, changing how the brain works. These young kids, I see Dennis out there nodding. How one of the words I remember them saying is shallow. I can relate to that myself. I mean, I'm so used to now looking at just tidbits that's actually makes it a little harder sometimes to go deep. So it's just good to be aware of, and it was helpful for a couple of us, all of us I think went to that session, to be aware of how technology is here to stay. It's changing things. It's also changing the brain and how it functions. And we just need to be aware of that in terms of our professional development of our teachers and our students using it, because that's the direction we're going in. So that was really fascinating. So we brought information back on that if anyone would like to have some. So, all right, that's it on the Spring Academy. Budget, item E, budget timetable update, and that would be Doug.
I don't have much to add after Mrs. Richter gave her report, other than we're shooting for the end of this week for all the department budgets to be in. I've got a pretty good set of numbers for projected salaries and benefits for next year that we'll be incorporating. And on June 2nd, for the Finance Committee meeting, we're going to have Lisa Voisin from Baird, our financial consultant, come and give us a presentation talking about a couple of things, the short-term impacts of what we've been doing and what we need to do going forward in relation to the revenue limits, the amount of state aid that we're losing each year, and then also talk about what the impact would be of going out to referendum for some bigger projects that we could not handle in our regular operational budget every year. So she'll have two major purposes that night. If any of you have questions, it would be great if you could send them either to me or to Stephanie, so that we can funnel those to Lisa ahead of time and help her structure her presentation.
What is the date?
June
2nd.
2nd.
Oh, it's the June 2nd
June
one.
2nd, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
And then just an additional comment that for those of you, that's still a public meeting, open to the public. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more how all the numbers and the financing works for the district, Lisa's a very good presenter. We've had her before. I would encourage you to attend that meeting to just get a better understanding of how we start looking at our funds that lead into the budget that help us make some of those capital improvement project and budgetary decisions. So June 2nd. Agenda, we're hoping to have that agenda for that meeting posted in about a week and a half to 10 days. Yeah. So look for that.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? And who's seconding it?
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we will adjourn, and then we will, does anyone need a break? If not, we'll move right into our next meeting. Everyone's good? Thank you all for coming, and you can stay now for our business meeting. For those of you that don't come to board meetings a lot, and I see some new faces in there, we generally have 2 meetings a month. One is a committee of the whole, which is a little bit more relaxed. It's where we discuss and really start to work through items so that there's time to deliberate, think about it, get more feedback, and then it comes back at the next meeting for the business portion. And that's the part we're going to move into now, and that's when we actually decide these things. So, item 1 on that agenda is called to order, verify a meeting notice and adoption of the agenda. Do I wait for a response on that? We just move into the second one. Okay, number 2, consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. It would be, these are items that have been discussed in the past or are pretty much routine items that the board does not discuss, we just vote on in one vote. So the list of those consent agenda items are 1A, approval of April 28th, 2013 school board meeting minutes. B, approval of early grad requests. C, approval of May vouchers and vouchers payable. And D, approval of final layoff notices. And before we approve that, I think I ask if anyone would like to pull any out.
Do we need to pull something for the date? Then I'll pull A.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And then I would entertain a motion to approve B, C, and D.
So moved.
Moved by Stephanie,
Second.
seconded by Quinn. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? None? Okay. And then we will consider A, approval of April 28th, 2013 school board minutes.
Would be
How
2014.
about 2014? Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I would take a motion to approve that.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Then moved and seconded to approve the April 28th, 2014 school board minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, we are now into number 3, old business. Discuss and take possible action on a proposed 2014-15 staffing plan. We have had several discussions on this plan. I'm understanding that nothing has really changed, Joel, but there were some name changes, correct? Do you want
Change
There was it.
the titles.
The title.
Correspond more closely to
Instructional.
what you guys were
to, okay?
expecting.
All right.
And everything that you have, there's nobody read for any changes, just so that you'll know immediately what we've done.
And it's my understanding that we need to approve this for where we're at today and what we know today, all right?
Keeping in mind that it is a live document.
It's a live document, all right. Any questions about the staffing plan?
So
Seeing none?
if it's a live document and we approve it, then we're just approving a snapshot of what it appears to be.
Right, and as changes come up, then we will approve those, but it does drive budget numbers now,
Yeah,
John.
okay.
And it's helpful based on planning of the student numbers as well,
Reviews that go out.
right?
I'm sorry,
Where it helps.
I missed what you said.
Notices,
I'm sorry, we have to send out intent to renew the staff.
staffing, right?
Yes.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the staffing plan?
Second.
No, I'm not the
Oh,
one that's
I'll
moving. Do you want to
second it.
move it?
I'll move it.
Okay, Jonathan moves it. Do I hear a second? Do I do that
Second.
wrong? Quinn seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. And under number 4, new business. Oh, I get to appoint these 2014-15 school board liaisons to our schools. So what we have is Eileen will take Whitnall High School. John Jones will take Whitnall Middle School. Quinn Burnett will continue on at Edgerton Elementary School. And we have Jonathan Cagle taking on Hales Corners Elementary School. So thank you to all of you volunteers. You will be the liaison to the school board for the 2014-15 school year. I also have good news that we just keep improving ourselves, and Miss Kathy Paus here got these all posted on the board-only section now, and she's going to also move to get it in the open section on our website so that you can find who's on which committee, and that's very helpful. So that will be our liaisons. And item B then, discuss and take possible action on the summer school curriculum. And who leads off with that?
Ms. Winter.
Ms. Winter, come on up.
There really aren't any changes to the proposed courses for this year for summer school. I gave you guys the registration sheets for each of the levels. We have tried at the high school level to offer a combination of credit recovery and also some elective classes that would allow the students to open up some sections during the school year. We haven't really been successful. We hear a lot of interest in that, but I think when they get down to the combination of trying to figure out earning some money, they have to put in the same number of hours in the summer that they would in a semester. So they're here for 3 hours a day for the 6 weeks. And they, included in that all of their other activities, I think it becomes a little overwhelming for them. And of course, there's strict attendance policies with the high school classes because of credit being earned. The elementary classes are a combination of enrichment and, also some remedial work with the reading and math. And as in years past, the enrollment is very slow, and as we kind of get towards summer actually starting and parents kind of getting that final push, we'll see a little bit of a rise in some of those registration numbers. Very similar to what we've had the last few years.
Okay, questions? I just want to compliment you. I did see that we got the kids edition, and that collaborative effort is so nice. This is the first time we've been in the Greenfield. We just collaborated with Greenfield in getting our summer
the
school
city,
out to more people, because this is open to people outside the Whitnall. Kids
And we
outside the
actually
Whitnall School District.
have
so.
seen quite an increase in enrollment from residents of the Greenfield School District wanting to come to Whitnall Summer School, because we actually offer more remediation. Most of their offerings are enrichment. So, and we also, our time slots are different, so a parent could actually cover a lot of summer activities for the younger ones with a combination of Greenfield Summer School, our summer school, and then also our play of Little Mermaid. So the kind of working together worked out nicely.
All right, thank you. We need to approve this, correct? So would someone like to make a motion to approve the summer school curriculum?
I'll make a motion to approve the summer school curriculum.
Second.
Nancy approves, Jonathan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. And item C, approve forward-thinking community agreement, commitment. You've heard, maybe some of you newer board members may not know as many details about this, but we've been talking about forward-thinking for a while. And just a couple of things I want to note. In your packet, you did get a chance to look at the demographics. We had about 150 people. And I want to thank everyone who participated. I thank our administration, and I thank students. We got to listen to some students. It was a very powerful experience. And we had seniors. We were in business. We had some businesses, the Chamber of Commerce. We held, the library board held a conversation. We got a pretty great response. We went into some senior centers and listened to what seniors want for our schools and what they want for our community. And so based on all of that listening, and based on some different ways Greenfield and Greendale have done some data gathering around what their constituents want, we came up with the background data, which leads to the agreement that that's in front of you tonight. And so the agreement part is the part that we are going to approve. As soon as I get my
Do we vote on it?
computer, we will be voting on that. So I want to read that forward-thinking commitment. And we changed the name because there are some legalities to the word agreement for municipalities. So that's why we have changed the name. I left agreement on there because that's the word we've used all along, and I didn't want to confuse people. But when it comes to this document, for the purposes of municipalities being able to approve this, we are asking that Whitnall, this is a collaborative, first time ever collaborative event between Whitnall, Greendale, Greenfield, and our respective municipalities. So you want me to read this first, or do you want to?
Yeah, I think you should read it.
I think I should read it, and then we'll have some discussion, and then we'll see where we're at.
Is this the first time that this, in this form, has been presented to, so why would we present it today and then vote on it today without
Well,
other types of
we can
feedback?
wait if you would
I'm
like.
just wondering, I'm trying to figure out procedurally and all that kind of stuff.
We've been telling the board that we're gonna bring this
Right.
forward for their action, so it'll end up being your call in the long run, so, or actually in the short term. Pretty quick here. Yeah.
So the commitment reads, we will ask citizens to use forward-thinking community commitment to enhance our communities by pursuing strategies for improving public education in the following priority areas. One is ensuring that each student is adequately prepared for college, career, and life by effectively collaborating with a variety of stakeholders. The second point is support student learning and family community engagement in the schools by mobilizing the expertise, skills, and knowledge within the communities and the school districts. Number 3, provide children with safe and secure learning environments by effectively partnering with other groups and organizations, again, within our community. We will effectively build support for the forward-thinking initiative and this community commitment by enlisting the following: school board members and other elected officials, educators, parents, and local school parent organizations, the faith community, the business community, municipalities, the news media, civic and professional organizations, and more. And we will establish a permanent citizen-led mechanism for ensuring the long-term sustainability of forward thinking. Questions and comments? Is there anything you'd like to add before we?
You read that very well.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, John.
I just, I guess procedurally, I'm just trying to figure out why, like, this now is in this complete form, and then it's presented at a meeting past the point where anybody can, beyond us, can make comments. So that's my concern, is that when we present things for the first time, that everybody sees it, and yet it's already, and it's ready for us to vote on, but it's beyond the point of, in the meeting, of the business meeting, for any community comments. So that makes me uncomfortable.
Address that a little bit?
Yes, because we did.
How long ago did we do the resolution?
About a year ago.
About a year ago. See, and the resolution said we were gonna work to this point,
So it's not
in
the-
partnership. And now, that group has, which is very diverse, has put this, they agreed, and believe me, it takes a long time
Oh,
to
yeah.
get them to move, where we finally have one thing, because we literally had the debate over commitment versus agreement.
Agreement,
And out of respect for municipalities, it was switched to commitment. Basically, it's saying you're accepting, you agree that these are 3 priorities in our district, and we're gonna work towards them. It's not a financial commitment, it's not I mean, we still every board will make their decisions, whether it's the village board, the school district of Hales Corners, school district of Whitnall, the school district of Greenfield, school district of Greendale. All those boards still make their own decisions. This just says that, based on the information we receive, we're gonna work with forward thinking as well to have their input if they feel that, the parking lot is a safety issue and they wanna partner with us in looking at it and coming up with different ways. Fine, the more the merrier.
Sure, no, I understand what it says, the intent and the meaning and all that kind of stuff.
Procedure.
My concern is procedurally, when we present a finished product for approval, but it's at a point where it's the first time anybody else sees the finished product, and yet it's at a point where they don't have any opportunity to make any input. And yet, we do these things in public, so.
Jonathan?
Could they, I mean, since this was out there since last week, correct? So there was a potential that in the first meeting, during the
that's what I
open dialogue, that somebody could have voiced a concern then or a question about it too.
That's a good point, and I don't,
But then maybe we could have presented it at the first meeting, so that, and I realize this is an unusual month
Right.
where we have two
Normally we would have
meetings at the
had
same
one, right?
time.
Normally we
But
would have
since
had
we
one.
are,
right.
since, I mean, tonight is a good example where if, that's, it's kind of a unique example, I guess, but where this could have been presented in the first meeting, and then as people kind of ruminated on it or something like that, they could have turned around at the first 5 minutes or the 5 minutes at the
Well,
beginning of this meeting said something.
We'll
So
let's
that's my
get
thing.
other comments, and then we'll decide what to do, whether we want to approve it or wait. Because we also have more data to look at than just this. And it might be worth what we're supposed to use this for, and why we want all of these groups to approve it, all 3 school districts, is supposed to inform our goal setting and our
Sure.
problem solve.
But do you understand
Goal
my,
setting,
do
I
you
do,
understand my point?
I do,
Okay.
and we may not need, I mean, I'm fine with that, let's just, but what we haven't talked about is where is this gonna go? Why did we do all this to begin with, right? And that is still vague to the 3 of our school districts, and yet it's gonna get real clear when we each individually take these 3 areas and say, now, how are we gonna move it forward so that we achieve that? These are too big and too vague and too broad. We have to come down to something that's measurable and achievable and that will drive change for our students in areas that the community has said, that the students have told us, that a variety of stakeholders have told us are important to us, and it was really backed up in the classroom today when we got to go listen. So anyway, let me get other questions here, and then we'll come back to what do we do with that, okay? Other comments? I mean, if you guys have them.
No, I'm in a way, I understand where John's coming from, but having lived this and discussed it for the past year, I'm completely comfortable with it.
Okay.
So.
Right?
And when is there a time or where's the end result? Gonna, all the information's been gathered now. When do you make that presentation at each district, or
Right.
what is the plan?
Well, no plan, because everyone wanted to get this approved first.
The agreement approved
First, and
before we
then
allowed the
we're
data
meeting
out.
again next week, but we know that not everyone has approved them yet. And we're gonna keep hammering out those details, because this is so new and unique to work this way. So, good question. I wish I had more, but we're willing to just move forward the way it is. Did you want to say?
Just that this is, the goal was to get to this where we'd have a common agreement. And that common agreement, even if, I don't know if forward thinking is gonna, get more detail to those goals or not, but when we develop our strategic goals, our commitment is that we're gonna use these as part of our planning process for moving forward. So we might, the Greendale district might look at it and not make it more specific. We might look at it and go, we want a lot more specific district strategic goals, but we'll fall under those categories. So, and again, like Luann said, it's either way, whether you approve it now, put it on the next board agenda, I think either way will be fine.
Comments, Nancy?
Who is the "we" that it references in here?
We
Who is "we"?
will ask to break,
Oh, you know what, we don't have, yeah, they're
We
on
will,
here, under
but-
well, it's under here.
underwear.
No, that's a good question.
And
It
this
is.
document is really not the commitment. The commitment is only the 3 bullet points.
Bill,
Right,
right.
exactly.
So I don't really like how this is laid out.
Okay. Okay.
You'd rather see it with just the 3 bullet points as,
Well, that's the commitment, and then the
Right.
rest of it is, I don't know if it's the forward-thinking group that's going to be doing all these things, or I don't know who the "we" is.
The "we" is in the 3rd paragraph there, though. We did say how we want to move this forward is in a collaborative effort with the community involved, so it will be a little bit different in that way.
But it says, "We will build support by enlisting the following people." So who's the "we" that's enlisting the
District.
people?
Yeah, we should clarify that. We should put the Whitnall School District, would that know?
Partner
But it was
district.
really the forward-thinking group, right?
Yeah, this is confusing to
We
me.
need to
I
work on
agree.
that. We need to go back and work on that. And we meet next week, so our forward-thinking group can,
Well, the last page of it, the steering committee co-chairs and the members, could it be safe to say that those are the people that are gonna
They're the
start
we.
the process? They
They're
would
the
be
ones
we?
that started it. Mhm.
So if it's identified that they are the we that are gonna start the ball rolling to get these other entities engaged.
If they are the we, but we're voting on adopting this page that says we, it doesn't, why would we adopt something that they are the we of? See what I mean? It's,
Good question, good question. We need to clarify that.
The commitment is, they're asking for us to the 3 bullet points, period. And those are broad statements, which I don't think anybody would disagree with. Safe facilities, kids prepared for college careers, and stuff like that.
let me, I guess, let me clarify what I'm trying to say. First off, I completely agree with Nancy as to the, kind of the layout, or, you know, I think there's some clarification needed on this. In saying that, obviously, I think those are 3 worthy bullet points to try to help guide us. But the clarification that's needed, I think, is important, and again, my procedural concern that I've already expressed.
So I'm hearing that those 3 bullet points are good, and who could argue they're really based on the community telling us that?
Right.
Eileen and I want to dig a lot deeper into the specific things we heard in Hales Corners. We really want that opportunity, and thought maybe we could work that into our board workshop and our strategic planning. So we can hold off voting tonight until we clear up some more of those questions, and then maybe even I would like to nail down a little more of where it's going to go myself. And that we can do here, right, with our own Whitnall goal-setting process. How does that sound? Is everyone good with that?
I do want to emphasize, though, I appreciate the work that's gone into this and what people have done to date, and I know it hasn't been just an overnight thing, so.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Did you have any more comments? I know you just kind of walked in late.
No, I just walked in.
Okay, good. All right, then.
One
We are,
basement.
good feedback, everything's good. Flooded basement, Eileen's here.
Pipe is
So
fixed.
with that, we don't need to vote on it? Do we need to
Nope,
do
you just-
anything? We can just let it go? And we'll move to number 5, comments from the school board regarding agenda items for future consideration. I want to mention that we had a list of items, and I want to thank Kathy for emailing this out, that we have been able to address through our committee process. So these items are moving forward, even though they're not on the list anymore, and you got that. I'll just read that list so that even the public knows that we're still working on the traffic flow at Edgerton, so that's still happening. Board member roles, a board workshop, we're going to work that out as a separate workshop. Legislative updates, which will be by the legislative committee, and ADA issues, which are now going through the facility and finance committee, and personnel and finance. For finance and personnel will both handle some pension and retirement issues coming up. And so the only one left on the list is the school resource officer, and Dr. Holtz and I will figure out when we can get that. And it's combined with after-hours securing building measures, and safety is important, so we'll be talking about that coming up. And so, any other items that you would like to see on the agenda?
I do.
In the future? Yes.
We had the opportunity today to go, some of us could make it, to Partners in Education communication class, and some of the students are here that were in the class. Gave us 2 presentations, very good presentations. You know, the one thing that really hit home was when they said, decisions that we make here, they feel. And they suggested that we meet with them on a regular basis. And I think it's a great idea. And Jackie was there, and I hope that another thing that they really had was student input on teacher performance. That was a different presentation, and I gotta tell you, they made sense. These are the kids that are with them 24/7. They're there being taught by these teachers, and we send in our people to evaluate them. And while they do a good job doing that, as they said, they probably see them on their Sunday best.
So would that be something the personnel committee would add in the future when we're looking at our evaluation systems?
Well, we don't really do evaluation systems for the teachers.
So how do we address
Something that
that?
administration would propose.
Well, I'd like for us, first of all, to all members to get this presentation, or at least the one that we got,
Okay.
and for
Okay,
us to
we
discuss
can do
it.
that.
And the second part is, one of the components of the school reform was that they felt that members of the executive committee of the Senate should be able to address the school, the students, at the commencement services. And they were denied that. I don't know why. I don't know if there's a policy or what the reason is. But I think we need to remember that this is their commencement service. It's not ours. It's the students. And these are.
Do you want, we have to get back to
Well, it's
putting
too
it
late.
on
It's-
the
it's-
agenda, or what?
It's too late, because it could be on the agenda for future.
Yeah.
But I would like the administration to rethink that idea and maybe come to a compromise. Maybe one of the members of the executive board, at least one of the members, address the student body, remembering that it's their commencement service. That's all.
Can I just say
Okay.
that that's not something that's been presented to me prior to being at this meeting?
Well, we're gonna just delegate it right back to you, because we cannot
No, I
discuss
just
it.
wanted
It
to
has
add
not
that
been
Okay.
brought to me.
noticed, but now that it's on the table, we'll let you run with that and let us know. Could you follow up with a memo to us so that we know what's happening on that? Thank you. In terms of your other items, teacher performance, I think that is, again, another administrative role, but we can pass that on to them and keep that in mind, because I do think in the future, we're gonna need to look at the process. We don't get into individual teachers, but as that process changes, we will be looking at that. So that feedback was helpful for us as a board when that comes up.
And we actually heard that topic discussed about student feedback, or at least I remember I
feedback.
did when we went to that seminar last summer in Washington DC.
Yeah, we did. So good
Model
stuff
schools, the
that we
Model
will
Schools
pass
Conference.
on. I don't want to lose these good ideas either. And then the last one was meeting with the board. I will follow up on that, because we've had a board rep, a student rep on the board, and I will work that through with Ms. Winter to try to figure out. They had another idea, maybe we could meet once a month in the morning, and maybe we could take turns or something, but how about we talk about that, and let me work that through and come back with a proposal for the board.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other items from the board? Future agenda items? Seeing none, then we'll move to item 6, board member announcements. And does anyone have any announcements?
I just want to give a shout out to our graduates. It's coming up really upcoming graduation. Some of the members of the class I actually personally know pretty well, because they were in between my two sons, and I wish them all luck in their future, and hope that we gave you a pretty good basis to go forward with.
Anyone else? I want to thank the students who invited us to come into their class today, and it was really great. Some of our administrators were able to take the time as well and join us. To get that kind of feedback from you it was really great, and I have pictures of board members sitting in desks, learning. I thought that was kind of neat in the classroom. But thanks to my colleagues who can take the time. For those of you that can't, it has been videotaped, and I'll see what I can do to get that to you. But the students were excellent. They had transitioned so well from, they made a presentation that was very well. Oh, wait a minute. We have it? Do we have it? Oh.
You kidding?
Surprise,
He's all over it.
surprise.
What are you pulling up?
Under board member announcements,
Hope you got the picture of me taking notes.
looking
While
very
he's pulling that
studious.
up, can
Studied.
I
Yes.
give a warning I just received on my
Oh,
laptop?
we should go?
For those of you who smartphones haven't gone off yet, there's a severe thunderstorm over North Prairie going east at 35 miles per hour, which says it'll be here at 8 o'clock in Hales Corners. So just for planning your evening,
our
unless you
students.
want to get really, really wet. I'm sure you all have umbrellas, though.
There you go, John.
So there's our board members,
There
and
you go,
there are our
John.
kids.
They are.
And there's our two kids,
See the pen in my
our
left
two
hand.
pictures
I
of
don't
our
think
students.
I'm not looking like a kid there.
Look at that.
Barely
Those
fit in
were
that
one of the
desk.
groups, and that was the other group, and they did a great job. Thank you all very much, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn, so we can get home
I'd like to
safe.
say thanks again for them inviting us to.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, motion to adjourn. So moved?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none?
Water or
Motion
sewer
carries.
back?
Thank you all.
Back to-
Thanks.